A long time ago, in the big woods of Tennessee, there lived an old man in a log cabin all by himself. The cabin had one room, and at one end was a big stone fireplace. Every evening when he would come in, he would cook whatever it is he caught that day on that open fire. If he didn't catch any meat, he would just cook himself a big pot of beans. One cold, dark, windy night, the old man was sitting up by the fireplace, cooking himself a pot of beans. He was lost in his thoughts, watching the beans begin to boil and the fire burn down low, when he looked down and saw an animal's paw coming up through a hole in the floorboards of the cabin. Now, this was the hole he should have fixed last summer, but it was too late now. The animal was squeezing more and more of itself up through the floor until finally it was all the way into the room. The old man reached down and picked up a little hatchet. And when that thing came into the room, he started chopping at it, and chopping at it, and chopping at it, and chopping at it until he dropped its old tail off. And it let out an awful yell and went running out between the floorboards of the cabin. Now, the old man had lived in these woods his whole life, and he'd never seen a creature like that before. But there was its old tail, lying on the floor just a wiggling. He reached down and picked it up, and realizing that he didn't have any meat for his beans, he dropped it into the pot and cooked it. And then, like a fool, he ate it. Well, it must have tasted pretty good to him. In fact, he ate every bean in the pot. It was getting late, so the old man got up, went and crawled into bed, pulled the covers up around his shoulders, and as he was laying his head on the pillow, he heard a scratching sound at the side of the cabin. He raised up in bed and said, "Now go on, get out of here, just go." But all he heard was, "Taily bone, taily bone, I want my taily bone." The old man thought someone was trying to play a trick on him. So he said, "Now go on, get out of here, go on home." But all he heard was, "Taily bone, taily bone, I want my taily bone." The old man called to his dogs that lived underneath the cabin. "Inu, Unu, Kabatico, Calico, get that thing." The dog ran out from under the cabin and into the darkness. The old man got up and went to the door to listen. He could hear the dogs barking way down in the woods. But he was not worried because he knew they were mean dogs. So he closed the door, went back, got into bed, and went right to sleep. He hadn't been asleep long when he was awakened by scratching sounds at the door. Something was trying to come in. The old man sat up in bed again. "Now go on, get out of here, whoever you are, just go on, go." But all he heard was, "Taily bone, taily bone, I want my taily bone." The old man called to his dogs again. "Inu, Unu, Kabatico, Calico, get rid of that thing." The dog ran out from underneath the cabin so fast that they almost tore down the front yard fence. The old man got up, went to the door again to listen. Way down in the woods, he could hear them barking. But then, silence. The old man got scared. And then he thought, maybe the dogs had chased an animal off into a hole and he couldn't hear them anymore. So he closed the door, went back, and got into bed. Even though he tossed and turned for a little while, he finally went to sleep. Around midnight, he was awakened by what he thought was the sound of the wind. He sat up in bed, and way down in the woods, he could hear, "Tailbone, tailbone, I'll get my tailbone." The old man got out of bed, and he closed the shutters and windows and barred them shut. And then he built up the fire in the fireplace so nothing could come down the chimney anymore. Then he remembered the hole in the floorboards of the cabin. So he grabbed some rags and stuffed them in the hole. And then he grabbed a big rock that he used as a doorstop and put it on top of the rags so that thing that came in earlier that evening would not come through again. He reached down, picked up the little hatchet, and started walking around the room, watching, listening, and waiting, and walking. When the sun started to come up, the old man felt safe. He went and he crawled into bed. And as he was pulling the covers up around his shoulders, he heard, "Tailbone, I ain't got your old tail bone," the old man yelled. It answered, "I'll get my tail bone." And that thing jumped